All right, Speed City fans, we're very excited for our next guest because we have Jak Crawford, a 16-year-old Texan from just down the road a piece from here in Austin. And Jak, we're very excited to have you. Welcome to Speed City.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, last time we talked to you, I guess it was about a year ago, you had already started the FIA F3 season that you were in the middle of last year. And it was, you had a slow start, ended up having a pretty good end to the year. But this year, you just came through a breakthrough weekend and sitting fourth in the championship, only 4 points off. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. This past weekend it was in Imola, and I finished third in the sprint race, second in the feature race. Was a really strong result. I'm with a new team this year with Prema Racing. They're a very good team with lots of history. So it's looking forward to be a good year.
So one of the things that it might be a little confusing. We see you as Red Bull, we see you as Prema. Can you explain that relationship?
Yeah, so basically we have the team, which is Prema, and then the sponsorship or the junior team, which is Red Bull, which is I don't want to say managing isn't the right word, but aligning us with the teams. In the past, Prema has been a lot with Ferrari Driver Academy. You haven't seen a lot of Red Bull drivers at Prema, but over the past 2 years, there's been there was Dennis Hauger last year in F3, and now in F2 as well. They have 2 Red Bull juniors. So it's quite cool now. You get to see the Red Bull drivers and the Ferrari drivers on the same team. So.
Hey, Jak, I got to ask you about last weekend at Imola. Like we said, a breakthrough weekend. You finished on the podium twice, finished third, finished second. In fact, if you'd had another lap or two, you might have won that race. I just watched the highlights of that again. But what does this do for your confidence right now? I mean, last year you ended on a high note. Here you're only 4 races in out of 15, and you're already doing fantastic and right outside the top 3 of the championship. What does this do for your confidence?
Yeah, it's a huge confidence booster. I mean, especially in Bahrain, I had an issue with the engine in qualifying. So I didn't really know where I stacked up in qualifying pace, and as a team we struggled in qualifying. So qualifying third and then going on in the races to get 2 podiums was, I think, a huge confidence booster, I think, for the team and myself. We know we can be up there and fighting for wins and podiums now. Like we knew, we just, in the first round, it was difficult to say. So, going into the rest of the season, super confident for sure.
So, Jak, I've got to ask you about you went through this last year, of course, but racing at these Formula One events, racing in Imola, we got to see all the action at Imola on F1. And how is that? I mean, you're a 16-year-old kid, although I know you're about to be 17. What, tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. But, you're 16 years old and you're racing in the same paddock as these Formula One drivers, the greatest drivers in the planet. I mean, that's got to be just surreal. Yeah,
it is pretty cool. Just being at the track, it's a really cool atmosphere. I mean, every time in Italy, every time the Ferraris were passing by, you'd hear a big cheer from the crowd, and it was kind of cool. And as well with the getting on the podium and having to do the press conferences, it's in the F1 paddock, so you always walk through the F1 paddock after that. So it's kind of cool to go through there and see all the different teams and different people. And I was walking back from the press conference of race 1 in the F1 paddock, and I saw Dr. Helmut Marko. So I got to say hi to him, and he said good job. So pretty cool. So.
Well, Jak, that's got to be just wicked. Marko, being around the Red Bull life there, that's recognition at the top.
Yeah.
Well, Jak, I say being these guys are the greatest drivers in the world, but you're on that list now. I mean, you're moving up. You're in FIA F3, and you really are on that list of the best drivers in the world, and you're starting to show it. And you said you've got this confidence boost, but you're 4 races in out of 15. And why don't you talk about what your expectations are for this year?
Yeah, obviously it's a very long season still to go. I mean, we still have 7 weekends, 14 races total, I think. So it's gonna be still a long ways to go. Obviously I'm sitting in a good position in championship right now, and I think I'm just gonna be looking to take it race by race, because you don't want to get your expectations too high, that and you don't want to get them too low as well. So I think just take it race by race. Next race weekend I'll just be looking to do best I can.
So you've absolutely already been trending well. How do you keep this? How do you mentally stay in check? Physical is pretty easy, that you keep doing what you did, but mentally, how do you not get overwhelmed by your own success so far this year and derail yourself?
Yeah, it is tough mentally. It's more tough when you have bad results, because when the confidence isn't high, usually you don't drive as good because you want to be a little bit cautious. But yeah, it is tough mentally. And after the first race in Bahrain, I was I wouldn't say panicked, but I don't think I was too well. We had the tests after the first round, which I think I was able to improve on what I needed to work on, and I got myself to a good state where I was confident again. So yeah, and then after the race in Imola, obviously feeling quite well again. So yeah, it is very difficult to manage.
Jack, I think we talked about this last year, but I mean, you're in FIA F3 and you're on the ladder to Formula One, but between where you are and where you want to be, you got to get through F2 more than likely. Where do you think you need to finish this year to make a move to F2 next year?
Well, I think I definitely don't want to stay another year in F3, because it's already felt like an eternity, even though it's only my second year. But yeah, I think a top 3 result would probably promote me. Obviously, ultimately looking far ahead, a championship win would be massive for me in my career, I think. So yeah, I think anywhere in the top 3. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you get in the top 3, and I don't think that precludes you if you don't. I mean, if you're having good racing, I think everybody can see, like, you had some bad luck last week or last race in Bahrain, so that can happen too. But yeah, I think that's probably a smart place to be. Les, you wanted to ask him about being in Miami.
Miami. Hey, I know, I'm sure you've been there before, but in fact, where are you right now? When do you get to Miami? And tell us about your guest of Red Bull. You're a special dignitary this weekend.
Yeah, so yeah, at the moment I'm in Milton Keynes in the UK. I'm here just with Red Bull. We're doing a junior team day. We're sort of having a tour of the factory and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. And then on Thursday I go to Miami, and I'm gonna be just hanging out with the Red Bull F1 team. So that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully I get to sit in some of the engineer meetings and see what it's like, all the engineers and the drivers and their feedback and everything. So yeah, it'll be a super cool experience to see what it's like to be in an F1 team.
Fantastic. We've had the opportunity to be around Max Verstappen quite a bit. How about you?
No, not yet. But I think if you interviewed me in a week's time, I'd say yeah. So
We'll try to catch you in Miami. We'll be there too.
oh, cool.
Jack, I got to ask you about the Red Bull team. You know, we're talking about Max Verstappen, and we've seen the the grinder that the Red Bull team can be at the very top. Yes, where you are now, it's a fantastic place to be, and it's obvious that you're doing well, that they've got their attention on you. But we've seen what Albon and Gasly and really everybody who's been up against Max. And Sergio, even last year, was struggling a little bit. Obviously, looking better towards the end of last year and looking good this year. But that's a pretty intense pressure cooker that is the Red Bull team, isn't it?
Yeah, there is, obviously pressure. I think, for all of us, there is, that sort of expectation to perform always and get, good results. There is pressure, but it also comes with, some pride as well, being a part of the Red Bull junior team, being able, being selected by Dr. Marco and Christian Horner is pretty cool. So, there's also some confidence to that as well as that pressure to know if you have a bad year, your chances could be done. So.
Well, to be honest, I'm going to challenge you to become a buddy of Max's, because you and Max are, basically very much alike in his entry into F1, him getting all this view and kind of visibility at such a young age. I bet he's going to have some tips for you and some guidance. Maybe y'all can work out and have a buddy system to get you through those without as much bad publicity as he had.
Yeah, hopefully he can give me some tips.
Jack, I want to ask you about the rest of the season. I want to start back with Imola, because that is such a cool, classic looking track. And I want to get your impressions and then talk about maybe what races you're looking forward to, which circuits you're looking forward to in the season ahead.
Yeah, Imola is a super, super cool track. I've raced there in the past in F4, and going into this, my favorite track to drive at. So I was very excited to drive here in this super, super fast car with lots of downforce. And yeah, it's just an amazing track. It's a shame we didn't get to do qualifying in the drag, because I think it would have been really fun. But yeah, it's one of those old school tracks with no runoff, no room for error. And you can use the curbs a lot as well, which makes it a bit more fun, a bit more variable how you hit the curbs. So yeah, it's just a super fun track, and I love to race there. And I think looking forward, ones I'm looking forward to are Silverstone. I've never driven there before, so it'll be my first time, and I've heard really good things about that track. Red Bull Ring, I had a good race weekend there last year, and also one of my favorite tracks to drive at. And yeah, going back to Zandvoort as well, that was a super, super fun track to drive, sort of a bit like Imola, the old school style track with no runoff. So super fast, super fun. And yeah, I think Spa and Monza as well. I guess I'm looking forward to all the rounds, but Spa, we didn't drive in the dry last year, was super wet. So hopefully we get to drive in the dry. And then Monza as well, I've never raced there before, so will also be cool to go there. So.
And that sounds like a complete bucket list of circuits, doesn't it, when you say them all out loud like that?
For a kid from Texas, that's all right. Jack, I got to ask you one question. You mentioned Zandvoort. I was there when Max went there in a kind of publicity tour, and it was so much fun being there amongst that crowd and everything. But everybody was excited for the banked curve, and it wasn't there yet, but ultimately it was there by the time the race came around. Tell us what that's like, because that is a total different perspective, and apparently the only banked curve to that degree on any of the calendars.
Yeah, we was the first time we had any corner like that, or any corner I've raced on, or any track I've raced on with the corner like that. So, you know, going into it, I mean, I had some testing experience in F4 in 2020 on the new track. So, in 2021, the turn 3 banking, I sort of knew like the outside would be quickest. I sort of discovered it in F4, like, you know, carrying the momentum on the outside. And yeah, when I got there for the free practice, it turned out to be the quickest, and was super weird, you know, seeing everyone, you know, be so far off the apex. But you know, it was also kind of cool, because you could also take a little bit lower line if you're trying to overtake. So that was, you know, quite cool. And as well, you know, physically it was a bit demanding because, you know, no power steering in the F3, F2, and was quite difficult on the arms, especially the long corner where you have so much, you know, compression in the baking. So
Jack, I've got one final question for you. I want to ask you, with the resurgence of Formula One right now, and the old saying, rising tide lifts all boats, subsequently F2, F3, you can watch all these races on
yeah.
ESPN. But with the rising interest in the United States, especially after the Netflix effect and all that, the Americans are now looking for an American driver to move into that spotlight. And how amazing would that be if that were Jak Crawford?
Yeah, it would be pretty amazing, obviously. You know, I don't want to put any pressure on myself, but you know, it is pretty cool. I've talked to, you know, a couple people, and you know, all the you know, America's really growing in F1 terms. You know, F1 is coming in America, so growing quite fast with obviously Liberty Media and F1 Drives to Survive, and now next year 3 races in the US. So so yeah, it's you know, coming fast, and I think it's a good market for me. It's a good time for me to go into F1. So
And Jack, you know, congrats, best wishes. But before we close out, I got to ask you about the Fast Friends program that you've started us. Introduce our audience to the Fast Friends program.
yeah, Fast Friends was a charity me and my mom set up, or my mom helped me. We use money I got from racing rewards to buy a 2-seater go-kart, and you know, I drove you know, kids around in that 2-seater go-kart. So that was quite cool, and we raised some money with that. So yeah, that was quite cool. I haven't been able to do it in a while because I've been so busy and in Europe, but you know, hopefully when I get back soon, I'll be able to you know, start it up again.
Well, I think it's great because it will introduce folks to this motorsport. You know, as we say, get them out of the bleachers and into a seat, get them to experience it. Even if they go back to the bleachers, it's really something else. Even, you know, as we have folks visit, I have a neighbor that I had out at COTA and gave them a tour, took them up on podium. It wasn't a race weekend and all that, not all that. And you'll be amazed what gets them hooked. They started watching the races at COTA because they wanted to show people where they stood. And now they're a racing fan and they're following Formula One all around. And so thanks for doing that. You know, help foster and help grow the audience and the fan base.
Yeah, it was a super fun time meeting all the kids, and it was super fun to see you know, all their reactions when I was taking them around. So
Jak Crawford, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on. And of course, we're going to be watching you every single race all the way to Zandvoort. And we'll get you on after Zandvoort and we'll talk about what an amazing season you had and what your plans are.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks,
Take care.
Jack.